back. We are continuing our coverage of the major breaking news on the international front. This is a look at the skies in Tel Aviv on the left. It's nighttime over there, and the White House on the right. As we have been tracking all day, the United States and Israel have launched an attack on Iran. President Trump has confirmed on his social media that Iran's supreme leader, Ayatollah Ali Khamenei, is dead. Khamenei was killed in a massive joint military operation between the U.S. and Israel. Meantime, we also know this, dozens of ballistic missiles have been launched towards Israel as well as neighboring states where U.S. has its assets by Iran. To talk more about this situation, let's now bring in Kaveh Shahrooz, a senior fellow at the McDonnell Laurier Institute and former senior policy advisor on human rights to Global Affairs Canada. Kaveh, good evening and thank you for your time. Dramatic and dangerous developments overnight. What have been your thoughts, especially after the news that Ayatollah is dead, as posted by President Trump on social media?
Very good to be with you. My thoughts have been complicated, but I would say overall very, very happy. So I'm obviously concerned. I want to make sure that as few civilians as possible are harmed. But for somebody like me who was born in Iran, who still has a lot of family there, who has followed Iran very closely over the years and is very focused on having democracy take root there, this has frankly been a very good day. And that may sound strange to some of your viewers, because people often assume that, democracy can't come via bombs, and that's usually the case. But I think with the case of Iran, you saw earlier in January where hundreds of thousands, if not millions of people took to the street and they said, down with the dictatorship, down with this regime. And they were greeted with nothing but bullets, and many, many thousands of them were killed. For 47 years, this regime did nothing but brutalize the population. And I think Iranians just felt that they had exhausted all possibilities, and they were hoping for this outside intervention. And today they finally got it.
Kaveh, since October 2023, we know that this regime has been weakened. There have been attacks on Iran in the past, and some of the top leadership, whether it is the IRGC. But today, looking at these developments, and if this news is confirmed about Ayatollah being dead, do you believe that this regime is actually on its way out because of the fact it's so weakened? Or do you think we will continue to see a strong resistance by those who continue to support what's in power at the moment?
To be frank, I see a lot of different scenarios possibly playing out, but one that I don't see is for this regime to be strong and to fight back.
Okay.
I just don't think it has the willpower to do it. I don't think it has the means to do it. One possibility is the Venezuela model. Now that the regime has been decapitated, some faction within that regime may reach an agreement with the United States and Israel and hold on to power for however long that it can. That's certainly a possibility. That's not my favorite outcome. My favorite outcome would be for people to take to the streets, for people to take control of their government, and for there to be free elections in due course.
Kaveh, we know, there's no denying, we've spoken about this so many times, about the crimes and the unimaginable crimes that have been conducted under this regime. But in your view, what are the next steps here? What do they look like? And who next? Because, there could be a symbol of hope in Pahlavi that we've been seeing. Protesters have been talking about him as the crown prince. But it is one thing to have a symbol, and to another person who can actually lead a country like Iran, which, like you also pointed out, is a very complicated the way it functions.
Right. As I mentioned, there are different possibilities that could play out. One possibility, and the one that I'm hoping for, is democracy. And it's difficult to actually imagine how that would play out.
Right.
Because, as you say, Iranians want democracy, whether it's with Reza Pahlavi or, a coalition of leaders or whatever that outcome might be. But it's not enough just to have leadership. You also actually need people on the ground to take over institutions and to run it. I think it's going to be difficult. I think one of the good things is that no one in the opposition is talking about absolutely purging everyone from this regime. I think there's going to have to be, some system of amnesty whereby, the people that are most complicit in human rights violations, perhaps they're put on trial. But, if there is a move towards democracy, that the rest are forgiven, they're allowed to continue in their role so that society doesn't break down, and that some new democratic leadership can take shape, but the rest of the state basically stays intact. I think that would be the ideal, so as to avoid the Libya situation or the Iraq situation playing out.
Because nation building, of course, is extremely challenging and tough, and we've seen examples like Iraq and Afghanistan in the past. But I have one question to ask you, since you mentioned human rights and you worked in that field so much, Kaveh. The question being, will there ever be justice, for all the wrongs that have been committed under this regime for over 4 decades, even though there is a new regime, or let's just say there's a change in government or whatever that may look like? But do you think there will ever be justice for the wrong that has been done?
What a great question. No, I don't think there will ever be full justice. Ali Khamenei, assuming that he is dead, as Donald Trump has announced, he died in an instance. There was never a trial. The people whose lives he destroyed, whose children he killed, they never got to tell their version of the story. They never got to face him in a courtroom. But I think sometimes when nations go through these traumatic experiences, you can't expect perfect justice. What you can expect is, some of the worst the people that have committed the worst atrocities, perhaps, they will face death or they will face trial. And others simply the best they can do is describe to their society what happened to them, and society can perhaps move on. It's not perfect justice, but it may lead to the best possible outcome.
Kaveh Shahrooz is Senior Fellow at the MacDonald-Lauder Institute and former Senior Policy Advisor on Human Rights to Global Affairs Canada. Kaveh, we appreciate you joining us tonight. Thank you so much for your time.
It was a real pleasure. Thank you.